So I guess that's something that I really love about the culture is just how loving everyone is. Literally, these people have nothing. These people live off of the food that they make on a daily basis. I mean, we're talking about people who, families, they earn $5 a week. And in El Salvador, they have U.S. currency, so a lot of the things that you see at the store would be the same price that would be in the U.S. And I mean, if you're earning $5 a week, that's nothing. That's nothing. And so a lot of these people lived off of. I mean, they didn't really have a whole lot, and that was very humbling. That was very humbling for me. And I guess I just really love the fact that, like, even though these people don't have anything, they're willing to give everything. And I mean, there's so many examples I have of these families giving up everything that they have to come to church. I mean, we have families that would walk miles and miles up the hill to go to church. They'd be living in a little tin hut without even a roof over their head, and they would still make it to church, they'd still pay their tithing, and so it was just very humbling. I remember there being fireworks, not too many, but they did make a lot of noise during Christmas and during New Year. The New Year. They did eat a lot of panes. Panes are like, the best way I can describe it is like a Subway sandwich, but they put, instead of like vegetables and everything that we put in it, they put like chicken and like this sauce in it, and it's super, super good. But they will give you so much food. I remember getting so full one time I wanted to cry, and it was during Christmas, during the season, and my companion and I had already eaten at this family's house, and we were visiting all these other families, and every single family that we went to see, they all had panes, and they were all like, please eat some, please take some for the road, and we were so full. And they aren't like tiny. When they're like maybe that big, and they're just like, they just stuff them full of chicken and the sauce and everything, and we just got so full. But that's their culture. They just love to share, they love to give, and my biggest advice for that is just eat it. If you can't eat it, like, that's fine, you can tell them no, but it is a little bit offensive to them if you don't eat the food that they give you, even though it looked disgusting sometimes, or sometimes I was unsure. Just eat it, because it can be offensive if you don't eat it. So, but I never really had a problem with the food. It was kind of strange because they eat a lot of the same things over and over. Their primary food that they eat is pupusas, and I love pupusas. So good. I've gone to so many places here in the States trying to find something of the same quality, and you just can't get pupusas like you can in El Salvador. And for those who don't know, pupusas are just like thick tortillas, and they stuff cheese in it and meat and beans, and sometimes they put sometimes they'll put like little plants in it. I'm trying to think of what loroco, that's what it is, loroco. They put loroco in it, and it's like a little plant that they stick in the pupusa, and oh, it's so good, so good, and it was so cheap there. I miss it so much. My companion and I, if we were running late and like happened to not eat for some reason dinner, which that almost never happened, we would always go and get pupusas, because those were the best. Pupusas are the main dish there. They eat a lot of pupusas. A lot of breakfast meals included eggs, beans, and yeah, I just remember eating a lot of eggs and beans. Oh, and pan francés. They have these people who ride their bikes around, and they have these little like boxes connected to that they tie in front of their bikes, and they would always ring these little bells in the mornings saying that they were selling their bread. They'd be yelling pan francés, and I miss it. It was so good. So we would always eat the pan francés with like the eggs and the beans, and it was good. And let's see what else. They would eat a lot of chicken and rice. So I would say those were the common foods. They would eat chicken, rice, which it wasn't, I mean, they would eat it a lot, but I guess it kind of depends on the situation and the occasion. Pupusas, they eat constantly, doesn't matter what meal. Eggs, beans, and the pan francés, and they eat a lot of mangoes. So good. They also have one of my favorite fruit is called jocote, and it depends on like the different seasons. So in one season the jocote could be green and a little bit bitter, but when it was like super ripe and red, oh, it tasted like candy. So I thrived on jocote. It was so good. There was one situation where and this is like when I first got to the mission, they have this fruit, it's called nano, I believe, and it smells like bubble gum, but it's like this green fruit. And this family that we taught, they had a nano tree like outside in their backyard, and one time one fell while we were teaching them, because we were teaching them outside, and one fell, and the dad of the family was like, hey, you should eat this. And I was like already iffy, because I was like, it just fell off the tree, like it's on the ground now. But I was like, okay, it's a fruit, should be good for us. Anyways, the dad like stops us right as we were about to eat the fruit, and he was like, actually, I have some inside. So he went inside and brought some out, and it was cut up, but there was like little tiny bugs crawling all over it. And I remember, and I was, I had just gotten into the mission, I looked at my companion and I was like, I can't eat that. And she had already told me before, like, Hermana, anything that they offer you, you have to eat, because it's offensive if you don't. And I remember looking at her and I was like, I can't eat this. And she was like, sister, you have to. And so I just took a deep breath and her and we just dug into that fruit, and it was sweet, like it was good fruit, but it was just the fact that it had bugs crawling all over it. But I guess that day we just got some more protein, so it was good. So they don't have like normal grocery stores like we do. I mean, they do have stores in parts that they call El Centro, and it's like the central of whatever the area is that you're in. So we would go to El Centro to buy our groceries on P days, but if we needed like supplies during the week, then they have these little tiendas at the corner, and I want to say like almost every block had a tienda, at least in my first area. Even though we were like in the middle of nowhere, people would just sell, they would sell like chips and toilet paper and hot dogs and hair clips, just random stuff at these tiendas. But I loved going to the tiendas and buying like candy and things like that. That was always fun. And it's interesting because there they have like bars over the window, so it's like not a store that we think of. Tiendas are like, it's almost like a doorway, and they have like bars barricading everything, so it's kind of like their security to keep people out. And we would just walk up and just ask what we wanted, and they would give it to us. It was great. There's other crazy foods. So they also love fish, and they loved fried fish. So literally they're taking the whole fish and they're frying it and they give it to you. So that includes like the skin, the eyes, everything. And one time my companion and I had gone to this house, and the mother was usually always a great cook. Like, we loved going to this family's house, loved them to pieces. But this one night, she gave us this soup, and we asked her what it was, and she was like, oh, it's a surprise, just eat it. And it had fish in it. It had, I want to say it was shrimp, because it looked like shrimp. And then it was like this soup consistency. I don't know what else was in it, but it was so bitter and so cold. It wasn't, like they said it was soup, but it was cold, and we struggled eating that. I can't remember the name of what it was called, but it was like, it had fish in it and some plants in it, and it was just, it was interesting. So they do like a lot of I mean, they have a lot of fish, but that's more like if you're going towards San Salvador. Because I didn't eat a whole ton of fish when I was there. But when we did, it was fried. It was fried, and it was good. I guess something really interesting is that it's already super hot and humid, and for some reason, they would give us soup, but like sometimes it would be really, really hot soup, and it'd be like over 100 degrees and 95% humidity, and they'd be giving us soup. And then that night we would go to like FHE activities, or we'd go to ward activities, and then they'd be serving arroz con leche, and that's like primary dessert. They love serving hot chocolate. They love serving it. Arroz con leche is like rice pudding, so they love serving that, but it was always hot. And that was kind of, I mean, it just became fun because you were always sweating, always hot, and then you go to these places and they're serving hot meals, so hot soup, hot chocolate, arroz con leche, which was hot, and that was always fun. So I really miss that.